Growing up in Birmingham, I remember I used to say, I cannot wait to leave. I went to University of Alabama, but I was like, when I graduate, I'm out of here. So I got a job in Orlando, Florida, right out of college, and it did not quite work out. I was back in Birmingham 8 months later, and I just was not very happy about it. I came back, did not know what I was gonna do. I was just always like sitting like, I just can't wait for that next thing, that job that just gets me back out of here. But just being back in Birmingham and starting to plug in and go to these events and meet people and build my network, I started to realize that everything that I wanted to do somewhere else, I have the opportunity to do it here in Birmingham.
Hello, I'm Angela Abdul-Rashid, your host for the Prosper Connector podcast. This is a place where information is shared, connections are made, and great Birmingham stories are told by great Birmingham people. I'm Angela Abdul-Rashid, your host of the Prosper Connector podcast. Today, we have two dynamic guests with us, Morgan Robinson, Myles Taylor. Welcome. You both are officially in the hot seat this morning as we get ready to learn more about you as young leaders. But before we get started, I have to ask my favorite question. If you were to think of Birmingham as a food or foods, what food would it be and why?
Every month, a good friend of mine, Carmen Morris, she has a girls' night where we have like charcuterie boards and everybody brings something a little different. And I see Birmingham in that. So everybody brings in something, that speaks to them. And I see Birmingham that way with the amount of diversity, the way that we're so welcoming and accepting and have such a good history. And, I'm definitely going to throw in some fried chicken on that charcuterie board because we can. And to pay homage to the amazing chicken we have in Birmingham.
I love it. Myles, can you top that?
Yeah, so I love that you said chicken because mine is Green Acres. I think
Yes.
Green Acres, Birmingham staple. I think it's something that everybody who lives in Birmingham has had at least once, or if they haven't, they should. And I just remember growing up, I'd go there with my granddad. We'd get 10 piece. I was, 6 years old and just like tearing it up. But yeah, every time I go to Green Acres now, it just brings me back to so many good memories. And just, I feel like that just means home to me.
I love it. Well, this topic today is young leaders leading. And I love when we do these segments because it really gets to highlight people like you who I would like to say aren't the future leaders. You all are leading right here, right now, today. So Morgan, tell us a little bit about you. And then Myles, I'd love for you to share a little bit about yourself. And then I'm going to follow your lead and see where this podcast conversation takes us.
Okay, that sounds good. Morgan Robinson. I am the Director of Outreach and Public Engagement for Congressman Shamari Figures in Alabama 02. So we run from Montgomery to Mobile. We hit Phoenix City, Eufaula, and everything in between. So I am still working in the community space, engaging with the community and connecting them with the resources that they need the most.
Wonderful. Myles, what about you?
Yeah, so Myles Taylor, I am from Birmingham, born and raised. I am currently working at a nonprofit and a church, so we do work together. Rebirth Christian Fellowship is the church, Rebirth Community Corporation is the nonprofit. Over at the nonprofit, we do entrepreneur development with a focus on mental health, as well as currently getting into the housing space. And that's actually how I was connected with Angela and Prosper, was working at that nonprofit.
So one other way you're connected is through the ECMC Bold Path Fellowship. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So
yes,
I'm very
clap,
excited.
clap, 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 clap.
I'm very excited. So I was recently accepted into the Bold Path Fellowship, which is a 2-year fellowship that is just promoting entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship as a career. So I'm currently working on developing a smart pill dispensing device paired with an app. So I'm excited that Prosper was able to bring ECMC Group to Birmingham and give me and 3 other fellows the opportunity to just really plug in and work on our businesses. I'm very excited.
Wonderful. So both of you mentioned my favorite word, community. Why is that so important? What has shifted your career and rooted it in service to community?
I was brought up in the church, Faith Chapel Christian Center, and I would say that would be where it started. I was involved in so many different outreach programs at a very early age. And so I got to see that excitement in the community when different organizations would come together. And I love that word fellowship. And when you could fellowship over something that provides resources, maybe it's education, maybe it's financial resources, and seeing that go from a seed and blossom would probably be the catalyst. And I've stayed there working in education and access to education with College Prep U and then with Birmingham Promise, and then, going deeper into other resources for education and job readiness would be where I kind of started and where my love for community began.
Well, we are glad you are rooted in the work that you're doing. Absolutely. Myles, what about you? What's your journey to service? I see you everywhere,
I try
which
to
is
be
a
everywhere.
wonderful thing, not just to receive, but also making connections on behalf of the people that you all serve. Where does that come from?
Yeah, I think it really just comes from my parents. I have a kind of I'll sleep when I'm dead kind of mentality about everything. But I like to just be at events. I like to meet people. You hear everybody in Birmingham, they say everybody knows everybody. This person is my grandma's neighbor's dog's cousin, So you can always meet somebody. You always have a connection with people. And I really enjoy that. We all have a common love for our city. So wherever you are, when you're talking, even if you don't have work in common or, what you like to do in common, you always have that commonality of Birmingham. But I just really like meeting people, seeing what there is in Birmingham, being able to learn what there is in Birmingham and what it has to offer, but also being able to share that with people. I think it's important to have a community of people who uplift you, but also you can do the same with them. So sharing opportunities, sharing those resources that you find with people that can use them, because I think it's just important that we plug into and pour back into our communities that's given us so much, and we can just all build up as one.
I love that you said that, because when I first met Myles, I was talking to him and I was like, You're Shay's son. You're Shay Taylor's son. And it speaks to what you're saying, that connectedness
It's the connection.
of Birmingham. And I'm finding that same thing in Montgomery, is that connectedness that we just have throughout Alabama.
Yeah, I love it.
So from your vantage point, since you brought up my hometown of Montgomery, Birmingham raised, Montgomery born, how are you seeing sort of the roots, again, that you have here in your hometown being able to spread across the state? And are you noticing that there are differences in community? Are you finding that there are stark similarities? Are we extra special as a city, like I think we are? But what are you seeing as it relates to community engagement, young leaders who are really given an opportunity to lead like both of you are?
I think that's so interesting that we're so flopped, born in Birmingham and now in Montgomery, and we've switched places. But what I've seen is there are definitely similarities. I think that the faith-based community has been a pillar in both, in all of Alabama, and has been on the cutting edge of change in history, and still is just as impactful and on the cutting edge as we see today, especially with the work that Myles is doing. So I see those commonalities with our nonprofits and our faith-based organizations at the forefront of change. But I also see the differences, and I am loving that, loving the differences of kind of the culture. And I think you can see that throughout our entire state, that everything has something a little bit special. I love going down to Mobile, because I think we have a lot of flavor.
Who does not love going to Mobile?
You have a lot of flavor in
absolutely.
Mobile. You have a lot of history in Birmingham and Montgomery, and then you have a lot of innovation throughout the entire state.
So Myles, for you in particular, and again, going back to, you are literally everywhere. And I love that you show up in spaces where you may be the youngest leader in the room, still a leader, but just born a little bit later than some of us. How do you encourage other young leaders to step into the room and to know that they belong to be in that space and that their voice is welcomed?
Absolutely, and I tell a lot of my friends, like whenever I see like a networking event or whatever, I send it in my group chats. Like, anybody want to come with me? Like, y'all need to come. And sometimes I do have some success, which is fun. But I definitely think you should, as a younger leader, you should go to these events. And you probably, Morgan, understand this as well. The older generations are really looking to plug into
We
us.
want you in the room. If
Yes.
no one has said that, we want and welcome you in the room.
And they make it so clear from the get-go. Like, when you start to connect with people, they're like, what can I do for you? Like, when you'll talk about your story, they're like, oh, I've been through that, or I know this person, or I've been in this organization. Like, they are so willing to help, so willing to give you opportunities, to just give you inspiration, give you insights, and I appreciate it. So I think that's one thing that I love about being one of the youngest in the room, is because I kind of have a spotlight on me, but not a spotlight of you need to be doing great stuff right now. It's a spotlight of, oh, this is somebody that is wanting to do stuff. Let's see how we can help him out.
That is beautiful, and I love seeing your excitement around that, because I think I was coming up in a time where I got to see that shift.
Wow.
And I do give a lot of credit to Mayor Randall Woodfin, because once he got elected and he started, putting, younger people in positions of authority, it became normal, and he normalized young people being in positions of leadership. And then we started seeing more of it for like the first time.
Yeah.
And so it's so cool to hear Myles be like, yes, it's everywhere. But I remember when that was not necessarily the case. But now you're exactly right that it is.
Yes, it is.
So I guess I just came back to Birmingham at the perfect time.
Absolutely. You timed it perfectly. So let's talk about the future a little bit. And we just gave accolades to our wonderful city, and you, of course, Morgan, having done a great deal of work now statewide. What is your hope for Birmingham as it relates to cultivating more young leaders, to opening up doors and tables and spaces for your gifts to truly shine the way we need them to?
My hope is that we are very intentional on creating programs and creating space for implants. I want to be the state of fresh, new ideas where new people are coming in and we have jobs ready for them. We have housing, which we definitely have housing available and ready for them. But we have opportunity, and we have that amazing young, vibrant culture that makes them want to stay. You have people like me and Myles, where we went to school here, and now we have stayed here in Alabama, and we're planting roots, and we want to continue to work to attract those people. The work that the EDPA is doing, I think, is phenomenal, to continue to bring in and keep our students here and keep our young people here, as well as the number of universities throughout the state. We have so many universities and so many HBCUs that I think that is the future, and I think that's what our entire state should be focusing on.
I love it. Myles, what about you?
Yeah, so I agree. We need to make space for the transplants, but I'll give a little bit of my story. I think we need to be intentional on the focus of keeping Birmingham and Alabama students here. So growing up in Birmingham, I remember I used to say, I cannot wait to leave. I went to University of Alabama, but I was like, when I graduate, I'm out of here. So I got a job in Orlando, Florida, right out of college. And it did not quite work out. I was back in Birmingham 8 months later. And I just was not very happy about it. I came back, did not know what I was going to do. I was just always like sitting like, I just can't wait for that next thing, that job that just gets me back out of here. But just being back in Birmingham and starting to plug in and go to these events and meet people and build my network, I started to realize that everything that I wanted to do somewhere else, I have the opportunity to do it here in Birmingham. And I think I think a lot of students who are growing up in Birmingham, I don't think they realize the opportunity, because a lot of people, especially people from suburbs of Birmingham, just grow up in their little bubbles. Mm-hmm. So you don't really know what all there is to you. So I would love to just see like more communication of what there is available for people to go to school and then come back and do what they want to do in Birmingham, because there truly is so much. And I'm honestly grateful that my job in Florida didn't work out, so I was able to come back, because I just think the opportunities that I've had being back here, it would have taken me 10 years to be able to do those in Orlando, whereas I've been back for a little bit over a year, and I've just been able to get so many opportunities. So I'm very grateful to be back.
Well, we are grateful Orlando did not work too. And grateful for both of you for returning, for sharing your gifts, for leading, not just young leaders, but leading leaders like me. I look at both of you when you show up in spaces, and I forgot to say both of you are members of Prosper's Community Connectors Advisory Board, and so truly shaping our network and helping grow our network and connecting us as an organization. We need more people like you. And so thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for the people that you're going to reproduce and reproduce and reproduce, to bring them in, to let them know that their gifts are valued, that their voice is valued regardless of age or place in life. So keep doing what you're doing. I feel good about us because I know you all. We're in a good place as a city and as a state because of Myles and Morgan. Thank you all. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Thanks. This was awesome.
I'm Angela Abdur-Rashid. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Prosper Connector podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all your streaming platforms at Prosper BHAM. That's at Prosper BHAM. And while you're at it, visit our website at www.prosperbham.com. We'll see you next episode.